I'm Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the Nbld Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NBLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NBLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the Nbld Project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here how it's work. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And the amount that you can upload on Anchor is unlimited, which is really helpful for me. And it also helps you with getting statistics for your podcast in terms of where people are listening from, so that you know how many people listen to your podcast all over the world. And today I am very excited to announce that Betterhelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better, because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to Betterhelp for sponsoring this podcast. Also, another announcement that I have to make is I recently created another podcast called Sleepy Butterfly for people who have challenges with sleeping at night or meditating, and it's geared towards people who are auditorily sensitive or have chronic migraines, and being able to have nice relaxing nature sounds for them to fall asleep to or to meditate to and be able to be refreshed the next day or when they come out of their meditation. So some of the sounds are like chimes or nature sounds like water or rainforest. And again, it's called Sleepy Butterfly. It is on Spotify and also Apple Podcast and Google Podcast. And it's on everywhere else where you can get podcasts as well. So I hope you are able to get some benefits out of that one also. Alrighty, so before I begin today's episode on careless versus normal mistakes in NLD, I would like to let you know that the next Facebook chat, we have one today, but the one for May will be on the third Saturday of the month, which is the 21st, and that is from 10 a.m. to 11:30-ish Pacific time zone. And that's, again, just a safe space for you to be able to talk about things that you have challenges with in regards to NLD or another learning challenge you may have. And you don't have to have a learning challenge. You could be a family member who supports one with a learning challenge to be in the group. And anything that is said in the group stays in the group unless you ask that person permission to share it outside of the group. And let me know if you want to come. Again, it's from 10 to 11:30 Pacific time zone. And I am having one today. I usually have it on Saturdays, but I'm having one today because tomorrow I'm going to be doing some fun things with friends, so I won't be able to do it tomorrow. So I moved it today so that I could still do it. Hello, so today's episode will be about NLD and independence and trying to learn how to be independent by managing your budget, expenses, and savings. Have you ever struggled to be independent while having a learning challenge, made many mistakes while trying to manage your finances, or have issues with balancing a budget and not spending impulsively? Those are all true for me. I used to have some credit card debt. I shared about that in episode 16 of year 1, 17 of year 1, and 38 of year 2. I've also had challenges with managing money, sticking to a budget, and spending impulsively while having NLD. Now, none of that debt was close to what, someone would have if they were a student in college. But it still felt like it was a big thing because it took me a long time to get out of it. And I wasn't proud of being in debt. I don't think anybody is, and or would be. But I got out of it during the pandemic and have been staying out of it since then. So I'm really happy about that. Currently, I am trying to work better on managing a budget. My mom is helping me with this by accounting for everything then in a ledger so that I can keep track of it and trying not to overspend in the different categories. That's how I'm doing it, and she's been helping me by walking me through how to account for it in the ledger. And I love my mom so much. I mean, she is really patient with me and really tries to explain things in a way that my brain will understand it, which is challenging for her because she's neurotypical. She's not neurodiverse, so she doesn't know completely how my brain works. She knows a lot about it because of the research she's done to help me with NLD, but she's not inside my brain, so she doesn't know what it's like to have the brain that I have. But she still tries to describe things in a way that I can understand, and I really appreciate that because it makes it easier for me to understand things. And so my mom helped me with my taxes this year because my brother was a little busy, but usually he helps me. He was just busy with work and didn't quite have the time to, but that's okay. And it was actually easy for me to do it. I didn't have to claim much, so maybe I could do it on my own next year. Also, one thing that helped me with not spending impulsively is realizing the true value of things and what is essential in life and what is not. I try to do that by looking at what I actually really need and asking myself, do I really need this new outfit? Like, no, because all my clothes don't have holes in them and they still fit. And I still like them. If I don't like them, I'm not wearing them anymore. I donate them. And I usually don't get clothes for myself. Usually other people do, like my mom or my grandma. And I think the only time I've gotten new clothes for myself was jeans because my old ones were too big on me and they were a little stretched out from wearing them. So I needed smaller ones. And that I didn't mind getting because it was a smaller pair. So I was proud of that. Also, what is good to do is try to think of how long something is going to last you. Like compare, I don't know, something that is food to a pair of jeans. Food is not going to last you as long as a pair of jeans will. So if you do that, that will help you know how to manage lifetime of something that is a necessity for you and how long it will last. Because if it will last longer, then you can use it for more time and you can save more money by using it longer because you don't have to keep spending money to buy that same thing over and over. So I'm also trying to save money for a new car and other personal goals. Maybe you realize that if you spend less, that it does really help you save more. I've been saving for a new car since I got out of debt, which was 2 years ago now. And in that 2 years, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying this because I'm proud of it, I've saved almost $15,000 for my new car. And I have emergency fund built up for about 6 months to a year. And I have a security deposit for living on my own. And I have a podcast fund so that I can have money to pay for the websites if anything happens to the job that I have, or if anything happens to the living situation I'm in. I mean, happens not the right word, but like if I'm living on my own and I'm not able to save as much money for the podcast or put as much money aside for it, I want to be able to have the money to pay for the websites, and I do. So that's actually, I have enough for 10 years, so that's a really good thing. And something I've also learned more about is that about growing up in the working world of independency by juggling 4 different projects simultaneously. I'm helping my mom by organizing the music we have in Dropbox, so it's easier for her to find music for her lessons. And actually, it's 5 projects now. It's 4 when I wrote the script, but it's 5 because I'm working on picking some of the music for my mom too, so she doesn't have to do that. She just approves what I pick. And I'm also taking inventory of a fair trade store that we have at the Unity Center. And basically what fair trade is, for those who do not know, it's products that are from third world countries like India or um, South America or Africa or Costa Rica or places like those. And usually it's jewelry or something that is woven, like a basket or a scarf or a hat or a bracelet for jewelry. Or it could be a dish that you use in the kitchen, like a salad bowl. But anyways, it's bought at a higher price than it is when it's bear with me a second. I'm trying to remember what's the opposite of fair trade. I think it's called real trade. Oh, unfair. Okay, well, you get it. But anyways, with fair trade, it is you buy it at a better price for the person who made it, the artist, and you sell it at a higher price, and you give that money, portion of that money, or all of it, back to the artists and their community, so that their community can have a hand up in making their life better in the situation that they live in, or situations, I should say. And we have had that fair trade store for, I want to say, 10 years now. But it's really cool, and we do inventory of it every 2 years. So I'm helping with that. I have some volunteers helping me with it too. And another thing that I've been helping with is doing helping one of my coworkers. Uh, she's working on a class that is about it's called Unpacking Race and Racism, Becoming White Allies 2.0. We've done this before. That's why it's called 2.0. And it's part of the Anti-Racism Institute. And basically, they're trying to teach white people about all the difficult things. Well, maybe not all of them, but some of the difficult things that Black people have gone through. And I've been helping her with getting ready for the program because it started in late April, and was helping her prepare for it in terms of getting everything organized and ready to go for it. And yeah, I did make some mistakes in all of these projects, but I've tried to learn from them and try to make notes either mentally or physically in terms of how not to make them next time that I'm doing them, because they're reoccurring. I'm also still doing everything that I usually do each day, like answering the phones, doing social media and tech support, and my COVID hygienist duties. I'm also working on the personal aspect of adulting by helping my grandma grocery shop and being her chauffeur. I also assist her with technical issues with her iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV, and helping my mom with cooking more dinners on my own and for them during the week. Also, I manage 4 podcasts now. 2 are my own, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, that's this one, and Sleepy Butterfly, that is 2 months old now. The other 2 I have is one for the Unity Center and one for Linda Caroslis. I helped her create hers, which is called NBLD and Neurodivergent Pioneers. And she has ADHD and NBLD, and she's a speaker in the NBLD and ADHD world and supports them. And she's also a tutor
for individuals who have NBLD and ADHD and other learning challenges as well. And I helped her create her podcast and website. Additionally, I manage my comorbidity of chronic migraines and NLD. I'm trying to manage them by using CBD gummies and hot showers daily, and a new prescription for me, Neurotech twice a week, acupuncture weekly, self-injections monthly, and exercise at least 3 times a week. And a little bit of an update on my migraines. Because I've been taking Neurotech twice a week, it's actually been really helping. They've been very mild since April 14th, and almost a month and 8 days, which is just so amazing for me to have that after having migraines for so long. I'm very proud of. Also, I'm very proud of myself from graduating from doing things since graduating from college. I've been coping with more traumas, being a way better version of myself, and trying to treat my friends and families like they deserve to be. And that definitely didn't happen right after college. That happened more during the pandemic. But I'm very proud of how much I've changed since then. And that I feel okay to talk about what I'm doing to be independent with other NBLDers and how they can be other independent as well. So here's an article from the Nbld Project titled, "I Feel Like a Walking Paradox" by Tara, who is, quote, a 29-year-old woman with NBLD and is an independent writer, artist, and animator, despite the limitations her disorder gives her, and hopes to one day make a possible breakthrough with one of her ongoing projects. She likes animals, video games, and most things that are horror. She's an individual like anyone else and just wishes others the best. End quote. Her article is about her challenges with adulting in VLD. Quote, "Finding work has never panned out for me. I fail interviews constantly, and it is is the only conventional job I've ever had. I was fired within the first 2 weeks. I tried getting aid and looking for a job to no avail, and eventually fought to be on financial disability for my disorder. However, since NBLD isn't recognized in the DSM, I had to get it for my anxiety, which has been coupled with my disability my whole life. It is hard some days, however, because I feel like I am a walking paradox. I can speak well and seem like a normal functioning human being on the outside, but the reality is I have a hard time with things that seem, in quotes, normal to other people. I can't drive due to visual spatial problems. Grocery stores are anxiety-inducing places to navigate, and socializing with other people, isn't really pleasant since I am aware that I am missing critical social cues. Overall, trying to be normal, in quotes, in this way is rather exhausting, and it is very easy to feel alone because of my NBLD. I feel like I must be vigilant of my surroundings and actions at all times, and no one can understand what it's actually like, end quote. I can relate to Tara in some ways because even though I can drive, have a full-time job, and grocery shop, I do have challenges with all of those things due to NBLD. It's hard for me to drive because of the visual spatial aspect and being able to have fast reflexes. It's hard for me to grocery shop because I want to make sure I get everything in one trip and plan ahead of time. It was hard for me to keep my previous jobs before working for my parents because of all the mistakes I made related to NLD, and to being new in the working world. I went through working with 4 different companies in 2 years before working for my parents. I also went through probably 15 different interviews and only had 3 that panned out into jobs for a few months before quitting or being fired or let go. Here's another article from the Mighty titled The Struggles of Coping with a Nonverbal Learning Disability After High School by Eileen Herzog. It is about one of the challenges NBLDers face in the working world. Excuse me. Quote, one of the first challenges a person with NBLD may encounter after school is the use of technology. For people who have a visual processing or writing disorder, creating and composing error-free emails is challenging. No matter how many times a message is proofread, it is not uncommon for the smallest error, like forgetting a period at the end of a sentence, to happen. Those types of errors can lead to negative consequences, and people may think the person is unprofessional. Another way regular use of email can be difficult for someone with NVLD is that they are not able to read nonverbal communication, which may result in overuse of emails. Emails that should only require 1 or 2 responses could end up taking 3 or more responses and can lead others to become frustrated as often it is the simplest question or direction. People with NVLD often need specific written communication or to be verbally told in person what is expected of them, end quote. I can totally relate to this because I often have challenges with proofreading emails and writing too many. Sometimes it's just easier for me to talk to that person rather than emailing them. But that's not always an option unless I have their phone number, can Zoom in with them, or talk to them in person. As I wrap up today, I hope you got something out of this episode. I would like you to think about how much you have grown independently, whether you have NLD or neurotypical. I'm sure you've had to work on being independent in your life. I will talk to you next Friday.
And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Also, another announcement that I have to make is I recently created another podcast called Sleepy Butterfly for people who have challenges with sleeping at night or meditating, and it's geared towards people who are auditorily sensitive or have chronic migraines, and being able to have nice relaxing nature sounds for them to fall asleep to or to meditate to and be able to be refreshed the next day or when they come out of their meditation. So some of the sounds are like chimes or nature sounds like water or rainforest. And again, it's called Sleepy Butterfly. It is on Spotify and also Apple Podcast and Google Podcast. And it's on everywhere else where you can get podcasts as well. So I hope you are able to get some benefits out of that one also. As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.